There may very well be a bit of background noise because the kids are awake and at it. Not in a negative sense per se, but now I completely forgot to record last night. So I'm just going to reflect on yesterday, today, and then tonight I'll also record based on today. So not last night, not before last. I'll just speak as though it was. No, I'm reflecting on the day yesterday. So Stills was waking heaps last night, and Beck, she's such a champion. She, without complaint, just continues to be up for him, even at hours at a time. She'll wake up in the morning and she'll be knackered, and I've got myself an incredibly good woman, and so he was pretty choppy last night, unfortunately. But the most beautiful thing, hey, I remember, it was as we were going to bed. Actually, it was as we were going to bed. That's right, and so she wasn't at the point of exhaustion yet, and it's easy to see things with was it rose tinted glasses when you're not completely knackered, and she goes over to his cot and he's just lying there, and she picks him up and and all I just hear is like, oh my boy, and she just holds him so closely, and I'm laying in bed waiting for her to come to bed, and I'm looking at her and I'm just like, as if like, there's so many times I was actually listening to Brene Brown today, and she's talking about gratitude and awe and all these different emotions and stuff, which they spiral. The best way to explain it is that they spiral you up, like gratitude and joy and happiness and stuff. And yeah, it was really it's really cool. It's really cool. Rather than like spiraling down negatively, like by being grateful for what you've got, you actually spiral up. And the cool part is that's a choice we can make. Like, we can choose any time to be grateful. I was taught by Nero, this coach that I've been working with for a while. He taught me about like the act of awe, and how awe is like gratitude but on steroids. My apologies if you can hear the kids fighting in the background. They are outside. And there is indeed tears being shed. It is also nap time, so I'm just going to kind of say that, yeah, that's why. So awe is something that we can just switch on at any time. And I mean, being in awe, if for nothing else, of the fact that we're literally just floating in this ball in the middle of nowhere. And we're at the exact right ratio, like distance from the sun, and just like this perfect concoction. I know Brian Cox, the astrophysicist, talks about the there's an excerpt. It only goes for maybe like 30 seconds from a interview he has with Joe Rogan, and he says, people ask me how, I want more, and he just outright says, he's like, well, how could you want any more? You've got, here you are, you're this. You're made of like, I'm going to paraphrase this and probably butcher it, but you're made of like the dust of long dead stars, and you exist in this little tiny slither, and life is perfectly sustained on this little tiny ball in the vastness of everything that we don't understand, and over time everything will kind of separate, and we won't be able to see anything, and eventually the universe will collapse on itself and all these sorts of things, and here we are, we get to this little tiny, like tiny slither where we get to just appreciate everything around us. He's like, and how could you want any more? And I think about that from time to time. And I think around like the act of gratitude, and how awe is just gratitude but on steroids. And I can be in awe of the fact that, in the fact of the very fact that I have the privilege, this is just insane. The very fact that I have the privilege to be born in Australia, specifically Western Australia, specifically Kalgoorlie, like, I have hit the absolute jackpot. And to have my wife, and yeah. The genetic lottery is incredible. It is feeding time at the zoo, in case. I really hope you guys can't hear, but yeah, who knows? I don't know how to adjust this. But anyway. So my morning started by actually meeting up with a friend, and it's always really, really great whenever I get to catch up with this person. someone whose perspectives on life I genuinely appreciate, and and I love the journey they're on and what they're doing. So it was really great. We caught up at 6, and the intention was that we were going to spend maybe about an hour going for just catching up and stuff. And we ended up hanging out for just over 3 hours. And and a lot of our conversation, it revolves around business and what's coming up, and it's a really great opportunity for me to be able to be quite transparent around the internal operations of the business and what we've got coming up, and then have someone whose opinions I respect battle test the ideas and play devil's advocate, and not in a antagonistic way, but in a way that it always comes from a place of love, going, well, have you considered this? What about this? These are my concerns, and it's something that I've certainly grown to appreciate. I know earlier in my business journey, I didn't really appreciate the questioning, what about this? But obviously, as time's gone on, I've really, really appreciated their input, and understand that it's actually quite courageous for someone to, when you're talking about a strategy that you think is watertight, and then someone comes in and goes, well, hang on, I'm just going to poke a hole in this. But it's not an easy conversation to have, and I certainly appreciate their input. So so we got walking, and I was obviously, one of the big things that, by way of illustration on this here, is my health and fitness journey, and chatting with them, they were saying how that occupied the bulk of our conversation, and then a lot of it came down to, well, I guess kind of like our broader philosophies, and and I ended up explaining to them that, like, you've got your thoughts create actions, actions create the stories you believe, the stories you tell yourself. The stories you tell yourself repeated become your beliefs. The beliefs repeated become, or at least aligned actions in accordance with your beliefs, become your values. And your values, and this is where I kind of found myself, was I had this value for growth and a value for comfort in tandem at the same time. And it's like putting the accelerator and the brake on, and all you're doing is redlining, going nowhere. Or if you are, you're crawling forward at just the most tedious space. And from time to time, you're able to go, oh, well, no, I value the growth more, and you take your foot off the accelerator. But then after time, you just go, oh, and you put it back on. And that's kind of been my experience with my journey of health over the last probably few years. And I think that this is the great bit, is like over time, you develop breadth and depth of relationship with people as you begin to discover and communicate across a variety of topics. So breadth by way of different aspects of life, and depth by way of how you understand that person and the intimacy you have with them. And so we've known each other for a fair while now, and it's and with respect to openness and transparency, it's always been something that I've really valued in our relationship. And so there were quite a few things that they challenged me on, and really push back on a lot of the premises that I presented, and I certainly valued that. There was a lot of, you're saying this, but I actually don't think, I don't believe that. And I was like, okay, do tell. And I think this is kind of the courageous side of things, is it's really hard to, when you're being vulnerable about things like, hey, I'm overweight, I'm not doing anything, but now I am, and long story short, one of the things that we, and I'll be honest, the whole health conversation wasn't actually the best value I got out of our time together. One of the things they said to us, one of the things that we ended up agreeing on toward the end of the conversation was the power of presence and being present. And I remember I was taught a while ago about a study, and I don't think it was MIT, but if I remember correctly, it was a Massachusetts university anyway, and not sure if it was MIT or not, but the study, for the most part, concludes that it was a study around how many thoughts we think and how many are actually true. And I know when you start, belief in truth, and belief is more, apparent than truth, and all these sorts of things, and I get it. And, science is only as good as the tools we use to perceive the world around us, and all that sort of thing, right? So I understand that the premise of truth is flawed. Nonetheless, truth that aligns with the best knowledge we have on the subject. Let's just say that. And what they concluded was only 3% of our thoughts. We have between, I'm going to butcher this, between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day or something, and only 3% of those are actually what we'd say true, and the vast majority of our environment is kids are getting a paddling from back. Oh, that's, yeah. Anyway, so the where was I? Oh, the thoughts. Yeah. So only really 3% of our thoughts are actually true. With respect to we live in the same environment, and we hear the same repeated thoughts, and all these sorts of things, and and all the different stimuluses and brands and all that. We've just seen them all before and heard them all before, and there's very, very little new stimulus. And so the thing to ensure is that, and this is when I think around this is why the people you surround yourself are so powerful, because talk about the stimulus that you've got around your own life and stuff. If you hear a big clap, it's just because I've killed a fly and it's annoying me. And so we were talking around that, and the whole 3% is the moment to moment being intentional, and not to say that you should always continue to curate your thoughts, but also don't be blind to the fact that most of what you think is habitual, and sociologically, gosh, from a societal standpoint, from a your religious beliefs or lack thereof, or your institutions, your friends, your family, your workplaces, the whole lot. Like, very, very little of our thoughts are genuinely our own. And just then going, well, how does how we operate align with what we actually say we want? That was one of the things that we agreed on. Toward the end of our conversation, we're probably about 2 hours deep, maybe a bit longer, probably 2.5. And this person said to me, kind of not quite crack the shits. No, definitely not crack the shits, but was very, I want to say, let me just see if this is the right word. No. I was going to use the word forthcoming, but I don't know if that's the right word. It's not the right word. When someone was very assertive, I would say, quite assertive, and just said like, I can't remember exactly how it was phrased, but it said to me that they were kind of getting really pissed off not pissed off, and again, like, I'm making it sound more harsh than it is, but it was definitely, there was no ambiguity around what the intention of what was said was, which is that it's a pain in the ass that I kept interrupting them. And I was like, right. And kind of, it is so funny. Like, I understand active listening. I just don't practice it. And what they were saying to me was around, how, like, they're, we're having this conversation, and they'll say, oh, what about this or this perspective, and what about this or this perspective? And I'm thinking, well, you kind of need to understand, this bit, and it is bedtime. You need to understand this bit and this bit and this bit. So they mention one thing, and then it trees off to 4 different concepts, and you're trying to hold those in your mind, and you're thinking and thinking, and you're thinking, okay, well, how, like, that helps understand that helps understand that helps understand that. So I'm going to say, and then it's my turn to speak, and I'll be like, oh, actually, okay, what about this? And I'm thinking, if I just explain my position before they've kind of finished their sentence, then it'll make more sense, So that's where I try and interject, and it kind of got pissed off with me, saying, sometimes I just wish you'd just listen, and I was like, okay, fair, and I said to him, I was like, well, I went to go say, well, what if you put your hand up? And they went down and picked up this stick and said, whoever's talking is holding this stick, and whoever's listening isn't allowed to say a single thing. Not allowed to say a single word, not allowed to, no expression, just listen. Man, it was good. It sounds so like inhumane or like just so backwards. It worked so well because we're able to. Oh, sweetie. Hey, babe. Hey, what's up?
I'm going to put everything on table. I'm going to bed, but I've forgotten that part.
You forgot that you shouldn't sit on the table?
Yeah.
Okay. Big breath. Another. Hey, do me a box breath. Yeah, that's okay. All right. All right. Maybe next time make sure you remember, okay?
Okay.
All right. Do another big box breath for me, bub.
No.
Do you want to just do a normal breath with me? Let's do it,
No.
Let's do it together. Ready?
No.
Please. 1, 2, 3. Wait. Why didn't you do it? All right, Bubba. It's time for a nap. Okay? Maybe, hey, listen, next time, make sure you make a good decision, please, okay? Okay. All right. Okay, come on, go up in bed. Hey, I'll see you when you wake up, okay? All right, I love you, babe.
Should I come tuck you in, Tilly?
Can I have the office back?
The office back.
Yeah, just because I'm mid-recording. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I was starting next one.
All good. Yeah, so it sounds really inhumane, but not inhumane. Sorry, just like it doesn't sound like it's the like a normal way to converse. But man, it was so we made more traction in the last 40 minutes of our conversation than the entire 2.5 hours prior. And man, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, hey. And the reason it worked so well was because, can't tell if I got him or not. The reason it worked so well was because we were able to, there was no communication from the other person. So there was nothing from them telling us, oh, that's good. Oh, that's great. I've got something to say there. There was neutral expression. We're able to just get our entire thought out. And that you're not allowed to do anything. You just have to sit and wait. And there's nothing else to do except listen. So you listen. It's freaking wicked. I can't wait next time we catch up. And who knows when that'll be. I can't wait for next time we catch up because it's always a really great conversation and I always really enjoy each other's company. And literally, like, all we did was we would stand there holding a stick. I would just have to wait. And here's the thing that we both realized was that if there's one thing that I've learned, the power of asking good questions and the power of leaving space for the person to work the solution. The solution I give someone doesn't matter, not unless they adopt it. The most persuasive... Okay. Sweetie, I need no one to come into the office for a bit, please. Okay. All right. Can you please close that? I'll see you when you wake up. Thank you. All right. No one's allowed in the office. That's why I do it at night. The most... God. I can't even rewind it. Oh, yeah. You know, I've seen time and time again where people are able to like come to their own conclusions, and all they have to do is just unpick the problem. And very, very rarely does anyone ever stop and unpick the problem. And this is why I've really been valuing this, is because I get to unpick my whole day and go, oh, that worked, that didn't. You know, I was out of alignment there. That was good. I probably should change that. And really kind of unpack my own psychology day to day. And very, 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 very rarely, unless someone's an avid journaler or, you know, converses with someone intentionally a lot, it's just, that unpacking just doesn't happen. But that's where all the value is. And this is where, like, you know, time alone and going for a walk or something like that, it's why you have your good thoughts in the shower. There's no one there, or in your toilet, and because you get to actually think, provided you're not on your phone or whatever, you know. And here we were, very quickly being able to deduct what we, the core of what we were thinking, and the concepts we wanted to be able to get across, purely because there was no other stimulus from the other person. And one of the things I believe in very, very strongly is the power of holding space for people and letting people feel what they need to feel. And yeah, invaluable. And it's like by just shutting up. Yeah, super super valuable. Hey. So that was the greatest lesson out of the last probably like 40 minutes, maybe 45 minutes of our conversation, after of a total of just over 3 hours. It was that was most valuable. Really really cool. So it's going to be a practice that I think I take into other areas of my life, and I'm really looking forward to it. So then I came home, and Beck was so incredibly patient, waiting for me. Loaded the kids in the car, shot down to Kidsfest. And I was so stoked that Beck actually came with us to Kidsfest. That was, I think, I really love our time spent together as a family, and specifically on the weekends. It's time that I am intentional about not working, so that I can, we can make great memories as a family, and I can be present with the family. So, yeah, that was good. And it was so busy, gosh, so busy. And shout out to the city, the city Kalgoorlie Boulder, putting on a really really good event. I can't really fault it. So shout out to the city for putting on such a great event. Yeah. Some good memories here. So Beck was able to catch up with a friend she used to work with, and that was really nice. I kind of like occupied the kids, and she was able to spend a bit of time catching up there, which was really cool. These guys, and they had like almost like exercise balls strapped to their back, chest, and their bum, and so just bouncing around the whole field and stuff. And Eliza, she turned, she showed me, she's like, oh, oh, and then she just mimics them, but she didn't have the exercise ball, so she just landed flat on her ass. It's so funny. I was like, oh, you okay? Another thing she did, which I thought was really cute, was since I've shaved, she's had this like really interesting fascination with my face. So I had her on my shoulders, and she just had her hands on my head and was just rubbing her hands all over my face and through my stubble and stuff. And it was this like sensory thing that she's been enjoying. So it's been cool. Yeah, Lexi found out what a dunny is, because she's only heard it referred to as toilet, and she thought it was absolutely hilarious. One of the things that Beck and I have started reading this book called The Montessori Child, and we have intentions next year of homeschooling the girls, and Lexi is really really excited for that. And one of the things that we, obviously reading the Montessori Child, you realize that it's more of a philosophy and a way of life than it is so much a methodology or a process. And one of the things now is they say, like, there's like seasons or times during kids' lives where they're going to naturally want to learn things, and one of my big beliefs is that, aligned learning is just like fun and play. Like, learning is fun. When there's something that you're excited about and you want to learn it, that's fun. You get into a state of flow, just like kids when they're learning it, that, when you might be running around chasing, playing chasey or playing a game with your friends, the rest of the world doesn't exist, and you're in this state of flow. Just like when you're learning something that aligns to you, you're in a state of flow. And so there's these opportunities throughout every child's development where they get really, really, really focused, hyper-focused on a certain skill, and they love it and they thrive in it. And it's an opportunity for us as parents to come alongside and feed that flame, because that opportunity, that window doesn't stay open forever. And so what it's kind of taught us is how to actually start observing what our kids need, and then coming alongside them and fanning the flame of learning and education in the times that are appropriate. And so with Lex, and this is interesting because now we're starting to see it everywhere. Like, Lexi and Tilly are at the ages where they're just starting to want to learn how to write. They just love to learn how to write. But it is the cool part, in writing, they're learning how to read, so it's all matched together. And Lex is really enjoying maths, so, which is amazing. Like, I just think there's this like aversion to maths, and maths is shit and frustrating and whatever, but maths is beautiful. And the older I've got, the more I realize everything is maths, and realizing that like I will never. Well, I can't see myself ever being a mathematician, or having like a wild affinity to maths, but I can understand the appeal to applied mathematics and how it literally is the entire world. Super cool, and yeah, not to say everything's maths, but a lot of the world, I'd say applied mathematicians would probably argue that everything is maths. But a lot of the world can be understood through maths in a very, very broad, as a broad statement. But yeah, so it's really cool that she's enjoying these things that I would argue, like, or from my perspective, I'm like, nah, not really. And most people are, no, not really. But I say all that to say that we're just noticing everything that the kids are interested in, and so for Lex, it's the first time that in a public setting we've seen her like really get up, and there was like a show on one of the main stages, really get into it, really dance, and get right in, and she was loving it, absolutely loving it, and so then we're thinking, whoa, like it's here's a new experience for her. And I was thinking, well, if we're going to be homeschooling, like if there's one thing that school is good for, it's exposure to a breadth of experiences. Maybe not. Perhaps a breadth of concepts, not necessarily a breadth of experiences. And perhaps school's changing, but from what I observe and what I hear, it's not really like that. Maybe. So yeah, so exposing, how do we continue to expose our kids to a breadth of experiences, so that we can see what they're thriving in, and I just think that requires for us a bit of courage to actually go, well, we're going to do an activity that we're going to build some stuff. We're going to do some concreting. We're going to do some plumbing. We're going to do, and just see what they're interested in. Obviously from a perspective, from a practical standpoint. But then it might be music, might be, piano, guitar, drumming, wind instruments, and just kind of just seeing, and sports. Go through a variety of sports. Like the girls love gymnastics. Great. Tonight I'm going to take them down to jiu-jitsu and see if because they've enjoyed wrestling recently, and I'm like, great. Like I would love to get into BJJ with the kids. So doing that and just continue to expose them and just see what comes up. So. So that's something that we're conscious of when we do start homeschooling. We're going to be very intentional about exposing the kids to a breadth of experiences. So, so it was cool. I also got a beard face painted, being that I had to wait for like 45 minutes or whatever at the playground, at the park. Yeah, so we went home. Beck was pretty knackered, obviously with the night. And I might clap a fly. We'll just see. Aha! Got the dog. The trick, in case anyone is wondering on how to get flies, yeah, you can't really see it, but I got him, is that you clap above them. So if here's the mic, if it's just on here, you want to clap like there, because they always fly up first, and you go bang. You'll get them a lot of the time. I know I get them a lot of the time. Big horse. So we came home. Beck went straight down for a nap. We chucked the kids in and stuff, and then fed Stirls, and I took him out the back. Oh, dude, I've got Scottish heritage, and it comes through in my inability to be able to get a tan. However, my incredible ability to get sunburned. So between Kidsfest and sitting out the back holding Sterling, I was using my head as a sun shield, and where I parked up was under a tree. But as the sun moved, I was not in the tree anymore. However, I was scared if I did move that I'd wake the child. Anyone with a newborn, you understand what I'm saying. Even if you don't have a newborn, you can imagine. You just don't want to have to wake them up. So anyway, so yeah, so I was reading my book for a bit out there, and it's been really good. I've been really enjoying reading again. That's been really cool. I've certainly been enjoying reading again. Oh yeah, this was really sweet. After the kids and everything woke up, Tilly, Eliza wasn't awake yet, and Tilly was playing in the playroom, this is the really cool part. I just love seeing, like, as the kids grow up, their ability to communicate past just words and understand concepts and then express those concepts is really, really cool. Hey, good night, baby. Good night. See ya. Close the door, please. Give me 2 seconds. Thanks. Back to the rescue. So, yeah, and it's really cool being able to see them express thought and more intentional. I'll explain because I can't quite articulate this properly. So, Lex and Beck were headed to Bunnings to get some stuff. We finished painting their cart yesterday, so they went to Bunnings to get some stuff for that. And Tilly was playing in the playroom, and I said to her, I was like, "Darling, would you like to go with Mum, or do you want to stay here with me?" And Mum and Lex are going to go to Bunnings and buy some stuff for the cart. I'm just going to be here doing some stuff. And she's really, really, really thoughtfully. She sat there. She was playing with the thing. She put her thing down. She's like 4.5. Put her thing down. Really thought about it. She looked at me. She's like, I think I'd like to stay here with you, please, Dad. And I was like, damn, whatever you want, girl. Like, you want a pony? Sweet. And it was just really cool to see that intentionality and thought. And, you know, it's like this moment where she actually really assessed what she genuinely wanted, what she was feeling. And that was really cool. It was really cool to see. And, yeah. So, oh, yeah, that's right. So as Beck and Lex were headed out to get Bunnings, she asked me, she was like, Dad, can you play with me? And I can't remember exactly how it's interpreted, but I understand when kids are saying to you, can you play with me? It means a lot more than I just want to play. And I think that's the interpretation that we mistake. The mistaken interpretation we make as adults is that we think that they're just wanting to have fun, but really it's a significance thing. And so I understood that, and I was like, you know what? I've got a little bit of time. I can do that. Beck will be home soon, and it's a Sunday. So I sat down with her. We made this a really wicked tower out of kinetics, and it was really fun. Hey, it was kind of just like I would ask her, should we do this? Yeah. Should we do that? Yeah. Do you think? No. Okay, sure. What should we do this? Yeah. It was really cool to try and give her the control, and that I was the proverbial child in this sense, and and she really appreciated that time together. And then I started putting this rock wall. I got some rock holds ages ago, like as in like rock climbing, like climbing wall, and the nuts that we use to fix into the brick. The brick in this house is really old. And so it's very like not to say it's powdery, but it's not like really, really robust. And so I just out of the 5 that I got, and not for lack of trying different methods, I could only get 2 to grab proper, where it was actually like the holds were sticking. And so when we did the bathroom reno, one of the things that we said to the guys doing it was like, hey, listen, can we do this? We haven't got around to it yet. Budget blew out, so we've popped the brakes on that. And Tilly, she's so sweet. She said to me, she was like, Dad, when are you going to finish the rock wall? I was like, I just got to get some more money together, mate. Like, I was like, well, we kind of used all our money to do this, to fix the bathroom. And she was like, I've got an idea. I was like, okay. And I told her that later this week when I finish fasting, we'll go on a special date, just her and I. She was like, when you finish, when we go on a special date, how about with our special date, we go get money and we make the rock climbing wall instead. I was like, oh, cool. Like, how do you want to do that? Oh, I'm curious. She's like, I can't remember what she said, but I just love that the children's just innocence and willingness to help is so beautiful. So that was really cool. Yeah, I love it. She's like, oh, we need money. Great. We can just go get some, so it's really cool. Yeah, so Beck came home. I sat on the front and the front couch, and it was my mum's birthday yesterday, so I gave her a quick ring, and I was sitting on the couch, and I just, gosh, Sorry? Just had to interject or interrupt for a few seconds. I thought Beck was saying she needed my help with something. So it was this really beautiful moment where I was like sitting on the front couch, and it was the afternoon sun, and the position of the tree in our front yard is a very established tree, but it kind of like creates this point of shade where if you position in the right spot, it covers your face so you're not staring into the sun. You got the warmth on the rest of your body, and there was like no wind. It was beautifully still, amazing, and I was just like, God, this is just absolutely perfect, And so we're in April now, and man, it was a beautiful day, such a beautiful, gorgeous day. So, another thing Tilly did, she came over to me, and we got these like microfiber rollers, and she comes up, she's like, "Oh, Dad, do you want to feel these on your face?" I was like, "Sure." So she comes up to me with these two rollers and rolls them up and down your face, and she's like staring at me like, "Yeah, this is good, eh?" I'm like, "Yeah, this feels really nice." And then Lexi was like, "Yeah, it feels really good," like from behind. And yeah, it cracks me up. I just love seeing the kids discover things. Like actually yesterday, this is funny as Lex comes running past, and she's got a shell that we found at Hopetown for Christmas. She comes running up to me. She's like, "Dad, Dad, Dad." She's like, "Dad, listen, I can hear the beach." And I was like, "Whoa, that's cool." Like, she's so excited to show me. And I'm not, I'll have to check with Beck, but I'm pretty confident that she kind of worked that out herself. So it's really cool. Like, this thing that we've all had, like this experience we've all had, like all of humanity forever, like this whole, like listening to the ocean in the shell. And she's like, "Dad, like, check this out." Listen to it. I was like, "Wow, I can hear the beach." She's like, "Yeah, I know." Like, really great. Yeah, so anyway, so we started painting the cart, and so for those who don't know, the girls have their so it was probably about 2 years ago, Lexi started wanting to have money, and we're not big believers in pocket money. Chores are, yeah, you don't just get money to exist, right? Like you have to contribute value. And so, and paying kids for chores, like it's just not a thing. Like chores is what you do. There are some things you have to do because it's the cost of existing. Great, you want a house that's tidy? That's called cleaning up. You want to clean the floors? That's what happens. Like, you want a room that's orderly? You put your clothes away. There's no additional benefit to that. It's just like, hey, you want to enjoy a tidy household and tidy it up? Tick, that's the reward. But what our thing was is we're like, hey, if you want to make money, we will show you how to create value, and we will help you with that. So they started with lemons. I think I might have actually this. I'm recalling having just recently shared this. They started with like picking lemons off our lemon tree out the back, and then selling them to restaurants, and then slowly just buying lucky dips and ingredients for they did a sausage sizzle and some what do you call it, like muffins and cookies and brownie slices and all these sorts of things, and then eventually they had enough money, and we were teaching them. We're trying to find different ways, like showing them, okay, you can use natural resources, you can make things, you can you can buy something, repackage it, and sell it. So there's all these different like ways we're trying to like teach them how to make money, and normalizing making money is something firstly easy, secondly fun, and so they saved up enough money, and with their money, and this is the thing is we'll help them. Of course, they wouldn't be able to do this on their own. They're like 4 and 6 years old. We've helped them, but we haven't done it for them. The times when they're like, "I'm exhausted" or whatever, that's fine. Like, yeah, sure, listen, we'll come alongside you and do it with you, but we're not going to do it for you. And then, so anyway, they had enough money, and they bought this fairy floss machine, right? And one of the things we're wanting to teach them about now is, well, how do you create passive income? Now, I personally believe that passive income is not totally passive. Say with like you buy a property and rent it out, they're still not passive. You still have to, all you're doing is you're shouldering, you're moving the demand for your time spent to someone else, and you're using money for it. So, for instance, you're using an estate agent to manage the property. They organize people to repair the property for you. It's not passive. It is there is still work required. It's just other people are doing it, so not being blind to that fact. But so what we did was we started, and that they paid for all the ply and everything else for this, but we made like this fairy floss cart, and it's just kind of been sitting there, and it's funny, like what's happened since I've started like living a lot more disciplined in the last week. And I understand I'm only talking about a week, so I get it. It'll matter more in 2 years' time, right? But after like being a lot more disciplined in what I'm eating and thinking and time spent and focus and all these sorts of things, that there's all these projects that I'm tying up. Man, the house is just, in the last 5 days, is incredible. Yeah, really, really cool, hey? So everything, and I just want everything in order. It's incredible, hey? Yeah, so anyway, so we finished that off yesterday with the kids. It was a nice Sunday activity, and, Beck and I were looking at it, and the kids were in their undies because we don't have paint smocks or anything for them. And we were just like, it's going to be messy. And Beck's like, maybe we just, maybe we just do it ourselves, just quickly knock it out. I was like, yeah, good idea, And then I like stopped, and as she was walking down the back to get the paint, I like ran around the side of the house. I was like, babe, that's not Montessori, hey? And she's like, yeah, okay. So we just had to embrace the messiness. We did set some ground rules, but we also went and got another piece of furniture that was kind of already buggered, and the kids could help with doing that too. So no, it was a really great experience, hey, and the kids are super excited for it, So we just need to seal it and do a little bit, and then the kids can start renting out this fairy floss machine and make actual money. And they've had this dream for ages about buying a rainbow house by the beach. That's been their thing, a little rainbow house, and I'm just like, cool. Like the crazy part is they haven't shifted it. Lexi and Tilly, they haven't shifted from it. That's been their whole reason why they want to make money. And I'm like, sweet, dude. If you want to have a deposit by the age of 15 to go and buy a house, I am totally on board with that. I will teach you the like understanding everything I know about business to help facilitate that, but they have to do it. And I think when I think around like, what an inheritance. Man, talk about an inheritance like that. Rather than the money, you give them the skills to be able to create the money in any economy. That is an inheritance I'm talking about, and I'm excited about that. I don't really want to give my kids money. Who knows? I don't really know what we're going to do. As it stands at the moment, our will is that our assets would be reserved. If I remember rightly, we said until they're 30. So they actually wouldn't have assets until they're 30, and we've given power of attorney to some people in our networks that we both trust and have a lot of runs on the board. So, yeah. So our assets would be under their care until the kids are at a very mature age, and yeah. So it's interesting, hey. Anyway. So maybe when they do hit their 30s or whatever or something like that, maybe Beck and I will change the will and we're just going to live big. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So that was cool. So let me see how much time I got. Yeah. Okay. This one's a bit of a long one. There's this book. This is something that's really cool. A few days ago, I was talking about how I had that meeting with the businessman, and it really challenged me on the whole thing of letting go. And then I've got this real issue with my kids being on the chopping block for God to do whatever He wants, and that they're just pawns in His game. And check this out. This is what I'm talking about, providence. This shit yeah. So a while ago, I was reading, just trying to find the book. I was one of the old books. Oh, it was a Carl Jung book. No, Nietzsche. Oh, was it? I think it was Friedrich Nietzsche. Anyway, and it was one of these like classic series, part of a classic series. And the other one in there was this guy, Soren Kierkegaard. And I'd heard his name a few times, and I'm pretty partial to a good bit of like philosophical literature, and I heard his name tossed around a few times, and this book was on special, and I was like, oh, bugger it, I'll get it. And it's a book called Fear and Trembling, and I bought it not really knowing what it was about. I just had this feeling I was just like, yeah, I'm curious, I'll buy it. So I did, and this ties back into my thing around my angst with God, and specifically Job. But anyway, so I'm there. Bex just finished her nap. This is yesterday. I'm holding Sterling in like the feeding chair and just kind of like rocking him a bit, and he's just restless. He just needs to go to sleep, and he's fighting it. And I just said to Beck, I was like, hey, can you throw me my book? And I was actually meaning the book I've been reading on influence, but she passed me this book. It's been sitting next to my bed for a while now, and the only reason, this is the crazy part, the only reason it was next to my bed was because when we went camping, I took it with us with the intent of reading this book. It's just been on my read list for like probably 2 years now, and so I've been sitting there, and she passes me this book, and I start reading it, and he talks about the journey that Abraham takes from wherever he is to Mount Moriah, if I remember correctly, where God has instructed him to go and sacrifice his son. A little bit sadistic. And so I'm reading this, and he's kind of like recounting the journey from wherever they're set up to Mount Moriah. It's a 3-day journey, and he's looking at all these different perspectives, from like Sarah's perspective, from Abraham's perspective, from the son's perspective, and there was another perspective, I can't remember what the other one was, and just kind of like going like, imagine that, imagine what it's like, and imagine, he's like, just what it would be to be a fly on the wall and watch the interaction between a father and son, where the son might actually know that he's going to be sacrificed, or maybe not. And the dad, in this case Abraham, like here he is, he's been promised to be a father of many nations, and his wife and him are barren. And then at an age, I think he was 90 if I remember correctly, at an age where it is just impossible to conceive, and they have this kid. And then what seems like, from a very like sadistic standpoint, God asks him to go and kill his son in honor to him. And I'm going like, yo, what is this? Like fully, right? And growing up in the church, I'd taken the story of Abraham like, oh, God, look at him. Yeah, he was so faithful. He just did what God said, and look, God looked after him. But I'm like, dude, Abraham didn't know that outcome. And I'm like, Abraham must have been cooked in the head just to be like, all right, well, it is what it is. I'd just be like, nah, boy. So anyway, so this guy, Soren Kierkegaard, he's wrestling, and I'm still only like probably like maybe 1/10 through the book. He's still wrestling. The whole book is the wrestle with that. How does someone willingly go and sacrifice their own child? Which is the biggest gripe that I have with my willingness to let go and surrender my life, full stop, right? And maybe I won't get there. The truth is I would like to. I really would like to. And that's probably a whole nother conversation, but yeah. The most amazing part about all of this, though, is that through a series of chance events, I get this book in my hands moments after, or days after, literally talking about that, like only a couple episodes back. That was really cool. And again, I just see it's like, it was just because Beck didn't understand which book I was asking for. She handed me this book, and yeah. So that's cool, and this shit just happens. It's so, I love it, and maybe everyone's having these experiences, and I'm like, wow, and it's just not that special. But yeah, belief over truth, right? Yeah. Anyway, put the kids to bed last night, and we tried the new thing where they get to choose their own sleep time. So as long as there's no crying, fighting, and they leave their bedroom, they can go to sleep whenever they want. We're going to play it out. Unfortunately, the kids lasted about 5 minutes.
before there were tears. And we came and we said, hey, you guys know the rules. It's time for bed now. We're making the decisions for you. Time to go to sleep. And they were pretty gutted, but we're like, hey, listen, we can try again tomorrow. So that was that. Anyway, it was a good day. Yeah.